As the decade of the 90s began, a couple of young running backs made their names known as Barry Sanders won the rushing title in 1990 in only his second year, and then in 1991, Emmitt Smith won the rushing title in only his second year by bettering Barry Sanders by only 15 yards. Perhaps it looked like that it would be these two who would be the favorites to compete for future rushing titles. But for the 1992 NFL season, a surprising contender would make his name known. Barry Foster came out of nowhere and was in the running to get that prestigious NFL rushing title. After the 1991 NFL season, Steelers legendary coach Chuck Noll retired. Enter the Bill Cowher era, and throughout his 15-year coaching career in Pittsburgh, his Steelers teams were known to be tough and physical. On the offensive side of the ball, they were always one of the better rushing teams as they were able to control the game, which helped Cowher to compile an astounding 108 1-1 record when Pittsburgh had a lead of 11 or more points in a game, and that all started with Barry Foster. During Foster's first 2 years in the NFL, number 29 was mostly a backup, as he never carried the ball more than 100 times in a season and never gained more than 500 yards in a season. But in Bill Cowher's first season in the Steel City, the coach of the most famous NFL jaw found his running back, as Foster did not disappoint. For Foster's first 2 games, he gained 107 yards and then gained 190 yards. For Foster's first 8 games in the 92 NFL season, he had a total of 865 rushing yards. Meanwhile, Emmitt Smith had recorded 896 yards, as it would be these two who would compete to see who had the most rushing yards in 1992. For the next 5 games, Foster continued to get 100-yard games and found himself with a 1,444 to 1,309 advantage over Emmitt Smith. Could Barry Foster become the first Steeler to be the NFL rushing leader in the Super Bowl era? But in Foster's next game, he gained 25 rushing yards on 12 carries against Chicago, but rebounded with 118 rushing yards versus Minnesota. But Emmitt Smith made his move by getting 99 yards versus Washington and 174 yards against the Falcons, who had the worst rushing defense in 1992. With 1 game left, Barry Foster had a 5-yard advantage over Emmitt Smith for the NFL rushing title. The Steelers would host Cleveland for a 1 p.m. kickoff, while the Cowboys hosted Chicago for a 4 p.m. kickoff. First, Barry Foster rushed for 103 yards on 26 carries against one of the better rush defenses in Cleveland. That meant that Smith would need 109 yards to win the rushing title, as he'd go up against the Chicago Bears, the same Chicago Bears who held Foster to 25 yards rushing a couple weeks earlier. But unfortunately for Steelers fans, Smith rushed for 131 yards on 20 carries and became the 1992 NFL rushing champion. Barry Foster's 1,690 yards in 1992 is still the Steelers' single-season rushing record, but sadly, Foster's career would be cut short due to injuries, as his last season in the NFL was in 1994. Although it was a short NFL career, for 1 year, for 1 season, Barry Foster had an unbelievable campaign in 1992, which made him a fan favorite, as Steelers fans from this era will always remember Barry Foster. Real quick, I just want to thank all those who have supported 90 Sports Nostalgia. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, and check out the links below for Patreon and merch. Thank you so much. Remembering Barry Foster and his 1992 season with the Pittsburgh Steelers.